Hi Taurus, welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot with me. My name is Carol, and this is going to be a general reading for mid-month July 2025. And in today's reading, we're going to be looking at, in particular, a pattern that's showing up in your life for healing for the end of July. So I'm going to be using the Curious Travels Tarot deck, and I'm going to clarify with use the Rider-Waite deck to clarify the Radiant Rider-Waite. So we're going to begin with looking for a pattern that's showing up in your life, and patterns are very important because they are what tell us what we need to heal. And you know, sometimes we can keep inviting the same people in our life. They're showing up and we have no idea why. We end up with the same type of relationships. Oftentimes we'll have emotions that are showing up, situations are showing up and over, and it's like, why is it showing up again? And things that are coming up for healing, we push it down because we don't want to deal with it. And so we're going to be looking at what's showing up first of all, and then what's very important is I'm going to look at what aspect from your shadow is driving this pattern, because it is our unconscious, believe it or not. That is what is manifesting this pattern in your life, because there's something from your childhood, your adolescence, that you've shoved away, pushed away, that's sitting in your shadow, that is causing this pattern to show up again, because it's the universe's way of saying, listen Taurus, I have something for you to heal. And you know, you can't ignore it this time. There's something here for you to look at. So we're going to look at that, and then finally I'm going to get some advice from the tarot as to how you can begin to heal this pattern. So let's begin with one card for the pattern that's showing up in Taurus's life the end of July for healing. One card. One card for Taurus for the pattern that's showing up in their life for healing. This deck is pretty good at spitting out cards, and I don't know why. I've gone through it twice, and it's, whoop, there you go. There, I usually talk about it and it comes up. Here it is, the Queen of Swords. She wanted to come out. Very important that the Queen came out for you. Just remember that, because I had to go through it twice. What aspect from your shadow is driving this pattern? There you go. The Ace of Wands, and it's kind of a sideways position, so I'm going to keep it like that. And what advice does the tarot have for you to begin to heal this pattern? One card, please. There we go. You have the Seven of Swords. All right, so let's get some clarifiers. Tell me more about this Queen of Swords. Couple cards. Okay, you have the Knight of Swords and the Seven of Pentacles to sit underneath the Queen of Swords. And the Ace of Wands, a couple cards for that. That one definitely wanted to come out. And one more. Okay, and the King of Cups. Three of Wands and the King of Cups. Seven of Swords. Couple cards for that. Oh, those came out nicely. Makes up for the first card. The Devil and the Five of Cups in reverse. Something on my nail. All right. Let's begin. So, Taurus, what pattern in your life is showing up right now for healing? And I just want to say, I want to ask you, I guess, if you've been feeling hopelessness, depression, You know, I'm wondering if this is going to come up again for you in July, the end of July, because you have all these 3 cards here are pointing towards that. I call it futility. It's that feeling in me that says, you know, why bother? Like, why frickin' bother? Nothing's going to change. And the same shit's happening over and over again. So I'm wondering if this is what's going to happen, where you're going to hit this again. And for me, I mean, I can go in and out of it, right? That's what depression is. We go in, we can sit in it sometimes for too long. And sometimes we can get a little bit angry as well. Our ungrounded anger can come out. So you start off with the Queen of Swords, and she's our feminine side. And your masculine side is coming out here with the King. And we all have both of these sides. Our feminine and our masculine has nothing to do with gender. But she's in a reverse, and that's why I asked you about the hopelessness, because she has this sword in her hand, and it's the sword of authenticity. It's the sword of truth. And so there's this part of you that's been wanting to go towards your authenticity, your truth, right? Maybe it's been here for a long time. It's something that comes up where it's something that you know, your truth can sit behind this depression. Sometimes our depression can act as a real blocker, a screen to what's sitting behind that. But oftentimes there's some emotions that are sitting behind our depression that we need to get to in order to get to this truth that's blocking us to get there. And so she's here blocked, feeling quite blocked. And so there's a part of you that, you know, your truth and your authentic self is blocked. And because of that, I hear you also have this Knight of Swords, and it's no surprise that you have another sword. This part, this knight, I call it my freedom fighter. All my knights are freedom fighters, and they are the part of you that fight for your freedom. They're the ones that you can feel it, that are pulling towards your authenticity. I mean, look at him. Look at he's close to, maybe the Knight of Sword is the fastest one, but he's going quite fast. Like, he's moving towards his authenticity. He's trying to pull you. There's a part of you that's trying to pull you to go there, but you're feeling this incredible, he's in reverse. You're feeling this incredible hopelessness. Like, why bother? What's the point? Nothing's going to change. Because the 7 of Pentacles tells me that. 7 of Pentacles is this individual that's been hoeing all his life, doing this job. Maybe you've been in a job for so long and you're feeling this, why bother changing my job? A lot of times this, you know, 8 of Pentacles talks about a job, but this is the 7, and it's like there's something in your life where you're like, you're looking at it and you're going, I have committed my entire life to this for what? What have I got out of this? What am I getting out of this anymore? And so this is a general reading for you, but it's coming up for you again where you're like, is this everything? I don't know if I can keep doing this forever. Like, why am I dealing with this again? Like, why bother? You know, and you're feeling quite hopeless around this situation. And so, believe it or not, when we feel this hopelessness, and I have to remind myself of this, and it's something that you don't realize when you're in it. When you're feeling this hopeless and when you're sitting in your depression, you're not going to care what I'm going to tell you right now. And so you kind of got to remember this before you get back into another one of these bouts of depression, right? Is that this hopelessness is not about now. And you're probably screaming at me going, yes, it is. I don't give a frick what you're saying. It's about now. But it's not. And I had to keep telling myself that over and over and over again. It's not about now. It's about an incident when you were younger, as a child or an adolescent, when you had no power, you had no... there was no way out of this situation, right? Right now you're probably going like, what's the point? I don't see a way out. Why bother? Well, that's how you felt when you were younger, and it's coming up for you again, and you're feeling it. you're feeling it again. But it's something specific that needs to be healed when you were younger. And so, because here's the Ace of Wands that comes out in a sideways position. The Ace of Wands is, it's all my aces are like a gift or this offer from the universe. And it's sitting right here in your shadow, something you buried. But it's the wand. The wand is that purposeful direction. Believe it or not, when we were younger, we knew where we were supposed to go. And so there was somewhere where you knew you wanted to do, something you wanted to do when you're younger. Sometimes we don't even know our gifts, what we were truly meant to do, are buried in our shadow, as well as our trauma, as well as our emotions. And, that's why we have to, keep digging and keep healing, because there's things that are going to come forward for us, these next steps that we're meant to do. And here's this beginning of this new direction that you were meant to go in when you were younger. Well, it kind of got sidestepped, or it was an offer, but it kind of went, meh. It's sitting right here in your shadow. And you had a plan. Here's the Three of Wands. You had a plan. This isn't the two. Two is when you get this, I think I might want to do this. Three is like, no, I have a plan. I'm doing this. So you had a plan. Whatever it was when you were younger, you knew this is what you were meant to be. Like, imagine you were something you did when you were younger, and maybe it was like a story or a book or something, or you brought home to your parents and you said, this is what I want to do. I want to do this, and you were shot down right there. And that's what often happens when we have this plan, and knowing we're ready, we can see it, right? We can see the shifts coming in, and it's like, nope. And here's the King of Cups. This is our masculine part. This is our ego. Well, you know what? When you were younger and you had this plan to do something and you were shut down, I want you to imagine what you felt at that point. You would have felt, I don't matter. You would have felt anger. You would have felt grief. And you would have felt, why bother going on now? That's exactly what you're feeling right now. Because when you're sitting in your futility, that's what I call it, in your hopelessness and your depression, and behind that is a shit ton of grief and anger that you need to get to, because it's buried right here in your shadow. And that's what's coming up for you to feel. When you had this plan, you wanted to do something when you were younger, and you were told nope. And you probably weren't allowed to show your anger or your grief when you were younger. It was shut down as well, because this king is our ego self, and he's sitting here. He's the king of emotions. And so our ego self dislikes emotions, petrified of them. It's not he just dislikes them, he's petrified of them. And so our ego self, when you're younger, will take you out of your body and into your head. It'll keep you in your head, and because that's where it's a safe place to be, because you had some big emotions here that you weren't allowed to express when you were younger. And so this ego self said, okay, these are dangerous emotions, and so I'm going to pull you, and I'm going to pull you up in your head. And so you've got these emotions that this ego self is saying, they're dangerous. You can't touch your anger. You can't touch your grief. And so what do? You have this hopelessness. That's what depression is. That's what it is. It's a screen for these other emotions that you felt when you were younger and you weren't allowed to. And so now it's like this is coming up for you again. So what advice does the tarot have for you to begin to heal this pattern, Taurus? Well, I'm missing a card here. And I'm wondering if it's, here it is. I must have knocked it over. Interesting. Isn't that interesting that it got knocked over? It's a very important card. So, Seven of Swords here. Five of Cups was the one that, I'm not sure if it was an upright but we're going to read it. Seven of Swords is the advice that the tarot has for you. Well, the sword Sword talks about our mental energy, our mental thoughts, these things that we spin on. And the universe is saying it's time now that you start to become aware of, what are you spinning on? Because this individual here, this fox, this sly fox, this card's called the Thief card. It's a card that talks about when we were younger, we had the people that raised us would have told us things about ourselves, like, who do you think you are? So imagine you're younger and you're saying, listen, this is this Three of Wands card. I have a plan. I want to do something. And you heard, who do you think you are? You can't do that. We don't have enough money. You're too stupid. Or so-and-so's smarter than you. They're going to do it. Or whatever it was that you were told when you were younger as to why you can't do this or why you couldn't do it, which made you feel completely hopeless. And this is what this depression is that you're feeling. Why bother? Because you keep spinning it in your head over and over, as well as, this hopelessness. Like, I'm too stupid. I don't have any money. I can't do this. These are the things you learned when you were younger, and you continue to spin them in your head. Call it a thief card. It's like you've inherited, you've stolen these ideas from people. They weren't even yours. It's not like you stole them. You inherit them, actually. And then you have the Devil card that comes in, and I think the Devil card talks about, I'm going to be real here. It's attachments, these things that we're attached to that help us numb our pain. And believe me, I have a few of them. So it's like the tarot wants you to look at, okay, how are you numbing this pain? These things that people told you, how are you numbing this? Because they're painful things. And this numbing, the tarot saying, well, let's bring awareness to this, right? And there's not one part of me that's going to say, well, you have to stop your addictions. I remember when I first started this 8 years ago, and I'm an overeater. And I used to say to my therapist, my life coach, she's a life coach, still have her, and I used to say, like, well, what about my eating? What do I do about my eating? And I'm doing it, it's acting up again, I'm binging again, or whatever. And she always would say, just like, we have to deal with the emotions of it, because there's a reason why we numb out. That's what our addictions are for. They numb us out so we don't feel the pain. And so I had to deal with the pain. And as I worked through my trauma, more and more and more of it, I felt less of an urge to grab that food, right? But it's been a process. This is a process for my addictions to, I have to eat, right? But it was like, now it's like, I know that when I go and get some ice cream at the store and we'll finish off ice cream in 2 days, or, or a bag of cookies or whatever, I know that just the act of buying it will tell me that, oh, there's something here that comes up. And sometimes I don't look at it until afterwards, but it's just a sign. Your addictions are a sign that there's pain there, and it's stuff that people told you. And the Five of Cups is right here, and the Five of Cups talks about this individual that has focused so long on these 3 cups and what that are spilled, but can't see the other 2, right? And this is where you're sitting right now. When you're sitting in depression, you don't see the other 2. You're just focused on these 3 cups. You don't see that silver lining over here, the bridge, and you don't see that water flowing. Those are the emotions that you need to get to. So there's some big emotions here that you need to get to around not being able to do this when you were younger. I talked about grief. I talked about anger. I write from my anger. And once I write from that anger, like I type out my anger at people, and anger is a secondary emotion because behind that anger is a lot of grief that you need to get to, that is sitting behind this depression, because depression is, like I said, it's a screen, right? So hope this helped, Taurus. I want you to have compassion for yourself for what you're working through. This is the most difficult journey of your life, but it's the most important one. And I'll also leave you with your July 2025 reading I did for you. So take care, and I'll see you in August.